Welcome to the Weekly Spark from Ignite Youth Group out of Eastgate Baptist Church, where we try to keep Christianity on fire in a world that tries to snuff it out.
Happy Teen Spark Day! I hope you are having a great week. I love this fall weather. Now, I don't know that I love fall because winter comes and I can't stand winter. I can't stand being cold. But fall is so beautiful, and so I am taking advantage of this beautiful weather. I want to talk to you today about an attribute of God that you don't often hear about. It's so important, but you don't often hear about, and maybe it'll help my attitude with winter. And that is the attribute of God being all wise. And the word, it's a big word, is omnisapient. Omnisapient means all wise, discerning, well acquainted with the true value of things. Omni is the first part, meaning all, and sapient, meaning wise. And truly, God is well acquainted with the true value of things. Often in this broken world and in our flawed human being self, we don't value things truly like they should be valued, right? We can lose track of how important things are in life, or we can not value our time correctly, and yet God is always wise. He is always valuing things. He values our trials, right? He uses them in our lives as one example, and yet we're not all wise, and so we don't truly value things the way God does, right? So a couple of verses to encourage you about how God is all wise. Everything he does is best. I'm going to keep saying that because that's kind of the simplified version. Everything God does is best. Here are some verses to encourage you in that truth this week. Psalm 18:30 through 32. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all those that trust in him. It is God that girdeth me with strength and maketh my way perfect. What God does has been tried and true forever, for all eternity. God has always in eternity past been wise, and he is currently and in the future. What he plans to do will be wise, all wise. And then Isaiah 40:12 through 14. And we already went last week to Isaiah 40. I always say all roads lead to Isaiah 40 because I feel like I always end up there. So anyway, in verses 12 through 14, it says, "Who hath measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with the span, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales, and the hills in a balance? Who hath directed the Spirit of the Lord, or being his counselor hath taught him? With whom took he counsel, and who instructed him, and taught him in the path of judgment, and taught him knowledge, and showed him the way of understanding?" And the answer is nobody. God has always had all knowledge. He's always had all wisdom. God created all things. God is self-sufficient. He does not need anything. And isn't that so wonderful? In a world where we are so needy and we are around people who are needy. I have a toddler, and so I know all about being needy. And yet, God is never needy. He doesn't need anything from us. And he is all wise. He is wanting to give us all of the wisdom and knowledge that we need for our life. 1 Corinthians 1:19 through 22 explains how even us, even though you may be a Christian and you may love God, we can often say, but I don't like the way that God did this, or how come God allowed this in my life? Or it's really hard to forgive other people and not hold a grudge, or not to complain, or to do what is right whether people deserve it or not. It's really hard to get up and read my Bible every day. And yet, God's wisdom what God has given you to do, he's given you to do those things, either to not do those things or to do those things. God is all wise. And I love this passage in 1 Corinthians because people who aren't saved would say that what we do is foolish as Christians. And they would say what God says in his word would be foolish, and yet God is wiser. Even when he seems like his word sounds foolish, he's still wiser than the wisest person in the world. So here's 1 Corinthians, and it's verse 19 through 20 and verse 25. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, this is God talking, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where's the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? For after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God. Can't you see God smiling? Because he's all wise. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks require wisdom, because the foolishness, so what we see as foolish, the things that don't make sense, God, why do I have to do this, or why is this way? The foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness, the things that we think of, that's weak, God, why do I have to do this, or God, are you being weak? No. The weakness of God is stronger than men. Your God is all powerful. He is in control, just like we've talked about in other weeks past. And he is all wise. What God does is best every time. What God gives you to do this week is best for you. I want to end with one last verse. James 1:17 says, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Everything God gives you is best. Everything God puts in your path this week is best for you. Even if it doesn't feel very good all the time, even if it's hard, even if it feels bad, God is going to turn it for good. And so what God does is all wise in your life. And God is all wise. He offers wisdom to you. I love you. I hope you have a great week.